Hey everyone, Regi40 here with a bit of a weirder hardcore Nuzlocke challenge for you. I'd planned on simply making this video a solo run-through like my Cranidos one, but then, a couple months ago, Chaotic Meatball put out a video doing a hardcore Nuzlocke of Regigigas in Pokémon Platinum, and it totally blew my mind that that was even an option. So I immediately wanted to see if I could do this as a Nuzlocke too. The answer is probably not. Even setting aside the problem of staying under the cap in a game that's infamously overstuffed with rival battles, taking on NN Getsus with one Pokemon seems like too tall of a task, especially for a Pokemon with Regigigas' peculiarities. Their 670 total base stats is incredible. 160 attack and 110 defense is no joke. The real problem, however, comes from the ability Slow Start, one of the worst in the game, and this halves their attack and speed for the first 5 turns of each battle. While their move pool is excellent offensively, there's not much they have in the way of recovery or stall moves, meaning Regigigas needs to rely on sheer bulk and trickery for all 5 turns before sweeping. But as good as their stats are, they're not quite enough to comfortably stall out those turns. So suffice it to say these battles are going to need a lot of planning as time goes on. My prediction is that this is going to start out relatively easily and then get dramatically harder over the course of the game. But with that, let's get into the rules. They're going to be in the description, but some key rules are no items in battle outside of held items. Battle mode on set, if a Pokemon faints, they can no longer be used in battle, and there are level caps equal to a gym leader or league member's ace. With that out of the way, let's begin! I get my Regigigas, who's got a plus defense minus special defense lax nature, and they 2-hit Bianca's Oshawott, and then 3-hit Sheeran's Tepig. Neither's all that bad, but Tepig's bulk and typing could be a real problem as he evolves. I also realized while writing the script that I've randomized every starter in Black and White, so now I'll have gone up against each possible rival team on this channel. That's kinda cool. I name Regigigas Slow-Mo and move to Route 1. With only one Pokemon I can use, I'm definitely losing this contest with my rivals. But now I can go straight to my battle with N. This battle isn't that bad at all, as Perlin only gets a Growl off, and then gets hit by Confusion and Dizzy Punch to drop. And in my battle with Bianca, something new happens. After taking out her Lillipup with a Confuse Ray and a Dizzy Punch, the same pair bring her Oshawott to the red. And Bianca uses a potion, meaning knockoff doesn't KO. So Slow-Mo gets over their slow start for the first time ever, and let's see what they can do! With a single Dizzy Punch, Oshawott's buried, and we can go take Cheerin on. And 4 Dizzy Punches take his team out. So now it's time for Chili. Because I haven't had a real difficult battle yet, I may be a little overconfident here and go in underleveled. And thanks to Incinerate, I'm not bringing in any berries, so Slow-Mo's just on their own. Besides, berries are really hard to come by in this game, so I'd like to preserve them when I can. The big threat here as a result is Lillipup, who can flinch with Bite, but thankfully doesn't as I land Confuse Ray. After he hurts himself, Dizzy Punch brings him under half, and then after a workup, one more knocks him out. And now it's just Pansear. Here, Incinerate just does a sliver, and now that he's confused, Dizzy Punch plus Confusion bring him to half, and just in time for Slow Start to end. So on turn 6, Slow-Mo outspeeds and knocks Pansear out with a final Dizzy Punch for the win. The question is, when will the first challenge come? It's not Cheerin, for whom I confuse his Tepig and then knock his Oranberry off before KOing just as Slow Start ends, and then one-shot his Purloin right after. It's not N, even though his Timber has the first super effective move on Slow-Mo we've seen so far. After 2 hits, Pidove is eliminated, and then Timber comes in. He gets confused, and then after Dizzy Punch leaves him in the low yellow, Low Kick does a ton of damage, but we're still above half, so one more gets rid of him and Slow Start. Now I outspeed and beat down Tympole for the win. It's not Lenora either, but that's mostly because of luck. I confuse Herdier instantly after Intimidate, as she uses Leer. Then after she hurts herself, I use Dizzy Punch. She hurts herself again as I use a knockoff to avoid a super potion, but no luck. I just go for Rock Smash, which I picked up just outside the city, and which gets the defense drop. I go for Dizzy Punch again as Herdier also gets hurt. Dizzy Punch leaves her on a sliver. And then one more KOs after we get rid of Slow Start. I should have just gone for Confuse Ray on Watchog, but I hit Dizzy Punch for over half as she just uses Leer. One more finishes her off, but if Watchog had gone for Retaliate instead though, I could have been in deep trouble. I also got so lucky that Herdier got hit by Confusion every single turn she could. The first challenge is actually Bird. 3 Pokemon is tough, especially when they can all set up statuses. I guess Slow-Mo outspeeds Whirlipede because they land Confuse Ray. Poison Tail hits, but no poison. But Dizzy Punch only does under half. I need Whirlipede to hit himself. And he does! That combined with Knockoff gets him under half. Can Dizzy Punch KO? no. That could be annoying, but he hits himself, knocking himself out. Dwebble's next, and outspeeds to land Sand Attack, which could get rough. Confuse Ray still lands, thankfully, and then Slow Start ends. But Dwebble hits Smackdown, and then one Rock Smash brings him to the red. Now he hits himself too, falling there. Leavanny is last, and we confuse. But Razor Leaf hits pretty hard, taking slow-mo just above half. But I have a big scare now, as Dizzy Punch misses, as Leavanny thankfully just uses String Shot, but snaps out. Razor Leaf connects now to activate Slow-mo's Oranberry, and then I decide to confuse. My confusion luck's been terrible this battle, but I think we've got this. I click Dizzy Punch, Razor Leaf hits, and crits! Oh, that was so close! We connect and get the third badge, but it's only getting harder from here. Fortunately, Bianca's a fun little break from that. Herdier misses takedown and gets confused. 2 Rock Smashes bring her to the red, but Bianca super potions. A crit means she does it again, and we get over Slow Start. 1 more KOs. And then, after inflicting confusion, Dizzy Punch hits twice to get rid of Duat, and then Muna and Panseer go down quickly too. But after a nice vacation, the fun is over. Sheeran's battle is surprisingly tough. I only have 2 Oranberries left, and I have to use one of them too. What makes this battle so tough? 2 things, Sandstorm and his Pansage. Pansage knows Leech Seed, which can have remarkable synergy with Sandstorm to wear slow-mo down fast. I need all the recovery I can get. Pidove hits Quick Attack too, so that's some extra chip I wasn't even accounting for. And Dizzy Punch doesn't even KO, so we've gotta go again. With Pansage, I instantly confuse after getting big. Dizzy Punch doesn't KO, but one more does, and he thankfully never uses Leech Seed. But 3 bites in a row does mean the Oranberry gets activated early. And now, I'm seeing an evolved Tepig for the first time. I need to be careful here. I set up Confuse Ray, and then hit Knockoff to get rid of his berry as he flame charges. 1 more Dizzy Punch KOs. But now, Slow-mo's on a quarter health. I need to end this fast. I Dizzy Punch Liepard, and it one-shots! We win! But that fight was scary. One nice thing though is that in Mombasa City, I can pick up 2 TMs that'll make this run way better. Return and Thunder Wave. Return is the best stab move I can get without any extra effects, while Thunder Wave is going to give me another way to prevent my opponent from attacking and to mitigate Slow Start's speed drop. I now have the core of my main moveset of Return, Thunder Wave, and Confuse Ray available, and I'm going to rotate in an additional 4th move as needed. I also used this opportunity to play a bit of dress up before enduring Bianca's dad, but sadly, all good things have to end sometime, and this attempt ends as I'm going through the Mombasa gym. I quickly realized there was no way I could stay under the cap here, and I blew past it by the second mandatory battle. I was really banking on the slow EXP group to carry me, but I guess there's just too much to do here for it to work. For attempt number 2, I come up with something that's a little dirty, but I think it's the only real way to deal with the cap issues. Given how close my fight with Berg was, and how much I needed to grind for Lenora, it just doesn't make sense to me to skimp on any battles before Berg. So my solution here is to just get Slow-mo 2 and EXP share at the start, so they can just grind without worrying about it. I think it's doable in theory without this, but it'd need a ton of luck, and I'd probably still go over the cap somewhere in Driftville or Opelousas anyways. This would be way more manageable if the EXP share wasn't trapped behind the battle company in all honesty. Theoretically, the run is over here, but I want to see how this goes with just one extra modification. I apologize if this seems a little cheap to you. I was just in so deep with this run, and I really want to find some way to make it work. And attempt number 2 with an EXP share is really clutch. Slow-mo 2 has a neutral nature, but worse IVs, except for their phenomenal speed. On top of getting a ton of friendship from running around grinding for Lenora, I also get the chance to get a ton of items I wasn't able to get before, like the Scope Lens, which hasn't actually given me a crit yet, and the TM for Rock Tomb, which is going to be really useful. I get to Elisa at level 26, so I have a little more time to grind, but after I get Slow-mo up there, it's time to take her on. I'm a little worried about strategy, because Slow-mo's weaker on the special side, and Volt Switch makes things so hard to stick. But let's get into it. Emolga instantly uses Volt Switch, so I Confuse Ray, but then that Emolga Volt Switches too. But it happens as I use Rock Tomb, which crits to take out the first Emolga. The other Emolga's in now, but outspeeds to hit a Volt Switch to go into Zubstrika. So Confuse Ray hits her. I decide to go for Return, but Zubstrika hits Volt Switch too. This means Return hits Emolga, but thankfully Static doesn't activate. I think we'd have lost if it did. Emolga uses Volt Switch back to Zubstrika as Confuse Ray lands, and now Slow Start's over. Return has a range here, so I'm hoping for a high roll, and I get it. Zubstrika faints, and then one more gets rid of Emolga for the win. That battle was really lucky, outside of the fact that no one ever got hurt in confusion.
I also don't think we'd have lasted another turn. But my battle with Chirin's the one that really makes me sweat.
Liepard hits Fake Out, which helps me more than him actually, and then Pursuit doesn't do too much damage before Confuse Ray hits. Liepard gets hurt in confusion, and then Return crits! Thank you, Scope Lens.
Then Pansage immediately outspeeds to hit Leech Seed. Oh, that's dangerous.
It could decimate my health.
He hits a Seed Bomb to bring me just over half, and then I hit Return, which crits again! Now Scope Lens is really coming in clutch.
Trinkle hits Detect on my first non-slow start turn, bringing Slow-Mo under half thanks to Leech Seed. But then, next turn Detect fails, and Return gets the KO, leveling Slow-Mo up to level 28. Slow-Mo then outspeeds, and with one final return, ignites Rubble. A close-ish call, but we thankfully made it out okay.
After lassoing up some Plasma Grunts, it's time to face Clay.
In my other Pokémon Black Nuzlocke, he's been the biggest challenge for me among gym leaders. But he's actually not too bad for my slow Golem.
The only real problem is what his Crocrock will do at the start. I hit Confuse Ray as Crocrock uses Torment. I was convinced he was going to use Swagger, so I was relieved until I realized I forgot to teach Rock Smash again. I didn't think I'd need it, but now I've got a real disadvantage on turns where I can't just use Return.
Return does a ton of damage as Crocrock hits Crunch, but no defense drop. Crocrock's in the red now, so Clay heals, making it the perfect time to use Rock Tomb.
I outspeed now and Return KOs! Palpitota's next, and hits Muddy Water, but no accuracy drop, which I didn't even realize could happen, as I land Confuse Ray.
Slow start ends, and now Return straight up KOs.
It's just Excadrill left.
And I immediately confuse him, and he hits himself.
Amazing.
Return takes him to half before he hits himself again to get him to the red.
That's actually pretty bad.
Now Clay's gonna heal, so I switch to Rock Tomb, which does almost nothing.
Return takes him back under half, and confusion damage brings him to a quarter. But now I have to use another Rock Tomb, giving Excadrill the perfect chance to bulldoze. This activates Slow-Mo's Oranberry, and I was hoping to save it by this point in the battle because they're so rare, but I guess that's not happening. At least now, I can hit one final return for the win.
5th badge is ours, at least after this Bianca fight.
Bianca isn't bad at all.
Herdier can't do much to me, and I was kinda worried about Duot's Revenge, but it only does about 16 HP. And a lucky confusion hit allows me to take Duot down in 2 returns. Pansear is easy, and then Musharna can put me to sleep or confuse.
But Psybeam doesn't confuse Slow-Mo, so we're moving on! And because I get Bulldoze from Clay,
Chargestone Cave, including N, is a breeze.
His conversation with Juniper remains one of the most substanceless chats I've ever seen, though. Now, Skyla's next, and it's the perfect time to do some training.
Except I'm already a level below the cap, and still have to do Celestial Tower and the gym.
I try my hardest to avoid any trainers here,
and wind up just barely making it to Skyla without overleveling.
The good thing is I'm not actually worried about the fight itself at all. Skyla is one of the easiest gym leaders for where she's at in the whole series. Without much in terms of bulk or status, she'll have a hard time stopping me. Swoobat does manage to flinch with Heart Stamp, but then after a second,
Thunderwave and then Confuse Ray connect. And then she hurts herself right after.
Following that, Return crits for the KO. Scope Lens is paying off now for real.
Unpheasant is in now, and after a Leer, Thunderwave paralyzes. And with turn 5 over, I think you know what's next. That's right, it's a full-strength Return sweep,
taking the rest of her team out in 2 hits. Chirin's then pretty easy too.
I was worried Unpheasant would set up Taunt, or land a bunch of air slash flinches, but he only uses Taunt after I set up Confusion and Paralysis, so it doesn't do him anything really. And then Return sweeps again. After backtracking a bit to pick up some TMs and items, I'm ready for Twist Mountain.
But here's the thing. I wanted Slow-Mo to stay under the cap, and they're already at level 37.
Plus, I wanted to get the Substitute TM.
As far as I see it, there's only one solution here.
I wait 3 weeks for it to become August, at which point the game becomes winter. During which time I also put out the Soul Silver Rocklock and film a couple other challenges as well.
I could have probably just manipulated the game clock and saved myself a bunch of time.
But life's full of so many games. Why not play the waiting one?
Anyways, with that, I can get through Twist Mountain without facing even a single trainer. I get to Bryson a level below the cap.
And because I'm worried about more cap trouble later on,
I decide to just take him on now.
This was probably a bit of a misplay, but I wanted to see how it'd go.
He opened with Vanillish, and after Acid Armor, Thunderwave paralyzes. Now Slow-Mo outspeeds and confuses, and Vanillish hits himself. Excellent. A Brick Break takes him to half before he hits himself in confusion a second time.
But Return doesn't quite do the job.
Bryson heals, so I try another Brick Break,
which doesn't even do half. But now, Slow starts over, and Return KOs. Bear ticks in now, and I hit Return, but it leaves him in the red.
And now he uses Swagger.
My greatest fear. He's using my strategy against me.
And it's not like I can switch out of it to another Pokemon or anything. Only one thing to do, I guess. As Bryson heals, I go for return. But Slow-Mo hurts themselves to do a third! Jeez!
I try again, and another confusion damage. Icicle Crush sends them all the way to 21 HP, and it's truly now or never.
And Slow-Mo snaps out of confusion to connect with return! And with that, Cryogonal falls too.
A much closer gym battle than I thought it'd be, especially considering Bryson's usually one of the easiest gym leaders for me. After some Team Plasma shenanigans, I get my false legendary rock and fight Bianca. This fight is scary to me for a number of reasons. Between Intimidate, Roar, Hypnosis, and Revenge, there are a lot of different ways this fight could go. But after an hour of planning, I realized I had a couple of things at my disposal that I'd forgotten.
For the first time in a while,
I give Slow-Mo the Silk Scarf instead of the Scope Lens.
I also teach them a move that might be our only way to withstand Bianca's offensive power.
Statland intimidates and then outspeeds to thankfully just work up before I paralyze. I confuse her next as she hits a Retaliate to take just under a quarter off.
And now, I can use Substitute for the first time. Statland hurts herself,
And then Return does under half as Statland breaks out of confusion.
but freezes up. Awesome. One more Confuse Ray pays off instantly as she hits herself again, and then slow starts over. Return KOs.
I wasn't expecting to go into Samurott with my substitute intact, but it immediately pays off as Aqua Jet crits, but it doesn't even break my sub.
Return does over half, which is great because it was a range.
And then he doesn't use Aqua Jet again, so one more finishes him off with my substitute still intact. Simisear goes down to a single return, and now we're at Musharna after Slow-Mo levels up. Now, I've gotten pretty lucky this fight, but my strategy was gonna be to re-up on my substitute so she couldn't put Slow-Mo to sleep. But that's not even necessary here.
Return does over half as she uses Defense Curl.
I don't want to risk Bianca healing her Musharna though, so I use Confuse Ray, and she hits herself! I think that should do it, but only one way to find out. Unless Return crits! I wanted to see if that would KO, but I'll have to take it.
I'm really starting to see the difficulty ratchet up here.
Even making it to Drayden under the cap was a challenge, considering how much experience the other gym trainers give. I don't even want to risk a Dragon Tail problem here, so I drop all my other Pokemon into the PC and face Drayden. All his Pokemon terrify me, but we'll have to see what happens.
Fracture starts out with the Dragon Dance before I paralyze with Thunder Wave. He has Rivalry, and I'm not totally sure how that works with the genderless Pokemon.
I hope I won't have to find out here. I confuse, and he uses it again.
This is getting scary. I use Substitute as he does it for a third time and snaps out of confusion.
Okay, I'm getting Confuse Ray back up ASAP.
And he goes for Dragon Dance again! Okay, I need to end this here. Return hits, but he survives in the yellow.
But he hits himself in confusion.
Phew. That's 1 down, 2 to go. And Substitute's still intact as Druddigon comes in.
Perfectly coinciding with the end of Slow Start. Return KOs outright, and Slow-Mo levels up.
Last is Haxorus, and Return one-shots again for the win.
Crisis averted. But man, this battle with Cheerden comes close. After I get the Master Ball, he's my last big obstacle before the lead. And what makes this fight so uniquely challenging is the way his lead on Pheasant is gonna immediately taunt.
I had to deal with this in the Opalisa gym, but never for a sustained battle.
Even though Pheasant had this before, I think this is just a late game AI quirk.
I'm basically just relying on Return here, and I've gotta hope that's enough.
I used 2 of my 3 rare candies before the fight just in case. And true to my predictions, taunts exactly what happens. Return looks like it did just over half, and I hope I'm right. Unpheasant uses Razor Wind next, which is best case scenario, because now I can just cleanly pick him off.
But now, Embor's it. Flamethrower looks like it's doing a little over a quarter, but no burn, and Return brings him to the right before leftovers.
Flamethrower hits again, and I can't believe that wasn't a crit! I'm in trouble. At least Return KOs. But now Simisage is in. I've still got one last turn of Slow Start, but Return needs to KO. But he outspeeds and hits a Miracle Seed boosted Seed Bomb. But we survive on 5 HP! And now I think the tides are about to turn. Slow-Mo outspeeds now and KOs Simisage. And Liepard doesn't have any priority moves, so Return gets rid of him for the win. I guess it's off to the League now then.
And the League is where this challenge really heats up.
Outside of the fact that 2 of its members have status moves guaranteed to make my life miserable, there's also Marshall, whose whole team is strong against Slow-Mo. And there's Chantal, who I still haven't figured out yet, even though I've been planning for her for this entire run. I decided to go in a little under the cap.
This is for reasons I'll get into in a bit. But the thing to know is that it allows me to retain my current moveset.
I decide to start with Caitlyn first.
She's fundamentally a roulette,
but I don't have any better options.
Because Reuniclus is so slow, I decide to start with Confuse Ray, and she hurts herself!
Next, I paralyze and set up Substitute, while dodging any damage along the way. Once all my setup is complete, I start using Return, getting some extra recovery thanks to Shell Bell.
After 2 of them, Reuniclus is out, and I'm on to Sigillic with Slow Start over!
Return leaves her in the red as she goes for a Psychic, breaking my sub. I debate the move here, but ultimately decide to go for Return.
Which KOs! I didn't realize it was a range, but I'll take it. Gothitelle is in now, and I decide to confuse her so I can set up my sub.
This isn't exactly the smartest idea, but she hurts herself. But after I set up Substitute again, she instantly breaks it with Psychic. Welp. So instead I go for Return, which leaves her in the low yellow. She uses Calm Mind in response, which just saved me.
One more KOs her, and it's just Musharna left. Return does over half, and then she just uses Psychic.
So one more gets us the win. Now the hard part's gonna be figuring out who comes next. But after thinking about it, I realize it's gotta be Grimsley. The problem here is that he leads with Scrafty, who knows both Brick Break and Sand Attack. I need Sand Attack to essentially never hit if this has a shot of working. I go for Thunder Wave, and Scrafty outspeeds and uses Brick Break. Basically best case scenario here. I confuse him next, and he hits himself. I use Substitute, and he's paralyzed. I go for Return, which is doing under half, and Scrafty uses Sand Attack, which doesn't affect me at all now that my sub's up. I decide to use Thunder Wave again so Grimsley won't heal next turn, and Scrafty hits himself! Awesome. Now Slow Start's done, and Return KOs. What's even better is that not only does Slow-Mo not get affected by Crocodile's Intimidate, but Return also crits to KO.
Grimsley sends in Bisharp now, and Return looks like it's doing a little over a third,
but Night Slash breaks Substitute. Thankfully, a second one doesn't crit, but it does leave Slow-Mo on a third, and that's good enough as Return KOs. I got lucky she wasn't in healing range there though. And now, Slow-Mo hits level 50, where they learn Zen Headbutt.
This is what I wanted to do Grimsley earlier.
I need Zen Headbutt for Chantal, so I teach it here, replacing Thunder Wave. It's just Liepard left. She uses Fake Out, which definitely hurts, but I survive. And then I outspeed next turn to KO and win. These battles have so much risk to them. Now that I've got Zen Headbutt, I basically have to face Chantal. I also replace Return with Rock Slide for this fight, because her Jellicent has Cursed Body.
Now, the big reason I don't need Thunder Wave here is because I already outspeed Cuff Egregious, so I can just go for Substitute as she uses Psychic. I do this because I realize Will-O-Wisp won't affect Slow-Mo if they have it up. And I'm right, because next turn, she uses it through Confusion.
Well, I guess it's go time. I hit Zen Headbutt. That's not really doing very much.
Psychic breaks my sub, but now I hit again.
That wasn't a crit? That's so strange.
One more KOs, and here's where I learned that actually if you hit a Pokemon with Mummy, Slow Start disappears, and that's why the last 2 hits did so much damage.
But Golurk is in now, and they're why I needed Zen Headbutt.
I use it, it does half, and Golurk flinches. Awesome. I hit another for the KO. Now Chandelure is in.
And Rock Slide takes her to the red. His Fire Blast is a massive chunk.
But Chantal heals,
and then another brings her right back, giving me some solid recovery. She heals again, and then the next hit crits outright. So now it's just Jellicent.
Not only does Zen Headbutt look like it's doing a little over half, but it also flinches, meaning if this next one connects, we should win. And it does! It's just Marshall left.
I decide to keep Zen Headbutt on here after realizing the damage output was a little more than with Return.
So I swapped Thunder Wave back in for Rock Slide and I head in.
Though I don't actually use Thunder Wave here.
Thanks to Throw's Guts and the fact that I already outspeed, I just go for Confuse Ray. After Substitute,
Bulldoze connects, but it doesn't even break my sub.
Zen Headbutt does over half then, and one more KOs. Conkeldurr is out now, and after Zen Headbutt does over half again,
Hammer Arm connects to finally break my Substitute, but it doesn't even matter because Zen Headbutt connects to KO. Now it's Mean Chao, and I'm a little worried here. I haven't done the calcs for this fight at level 51, but at level 50 he outspeeds and Jump Kick does so much damage. Turns out I don't even need to worry here, because now Zen Headbutt outspeeds and KOs. That's perfect. Now I take a little bit of time on Sock to set up Confuse Ray. I'm really just hoping for him to break Sturdy. This doesn't happen at first. Karate Chop lands and nearly does half. At least it didn't crit, I guess.
I hit Zen Headbutt, taking him exactly to Sturdy. He's confused,
and he hits himself for the win! What a way to end the league. And after End's Fortress of Solitude rises up from the ground, it's time to fight him and Getsus. I decide to swap Zen Headbutt for Thunder Punch. I think it's gonna have a little more utility for me, especially against End's team. After catching Reshiram, my false legendary, the fight begins. No more EXP share for this one. I'm trying to get slow-mo as strong as possible for my fight with Getsus, which is why I've got them on the cusp of level 53.
Zekrom outspeeds to hit a hard fusion bolt, doing around 40%.
But now, I confuse. After they hit themselves, I set up Substitute.
They use Light Screen as Return does around a third.
I hit another, and with another confusion hit, Zekrom needs to heal.
And full restores, so I can restore confusion. Now that slow starts over, Return does over half.
One more KOs, and I've still got my sub. Klinkling looks like they're in next, but I'm pretty sure it's actually Zoroark, so I hit return, and I'm right. No more Focus Blast opportunities for you! The real Klinkling is in now, and after 2 Thunder Punches bring them to the yellow, 2 Thunderbolts break my sub. 1 more KOs, but now Vanillix is in.
Return leaves him alive, but then Blizzard hits.
And does a big chunk.
I've got to be careful now. Even though Return kills, Caracosta's out now.
And unless I'm crazy lucky, I'm getting hit hard here.
I use Thunder Punch, and it paralyzes, and then he freezes up!
He doesn't use Aqua Jet, and 1 more KOs.
And that's essentially it, as I outspeed Archeops and one-hit him with another Thunder Punch for the win.
Let's see how Getsus goes, though. I instantly use Substitute, and that was the right play to say the least, as Egregious uses Toxic.
I confuse now, and then it's go time.
Or it would be if Egregious didn't protect. I then start going for Thunder Punch. I've got Mummy now, but I end up in this weird loop with him where Getsus heals but just refuses to use Psychic for some reason. I guess the AI just really wants to set up Toxic, but it's weird, right? Ultimately though, he goes down and Getsus sends out Hydreigon. Return doesn't quite KO, but Slow-Mo gets close to full health thanks to Shell Bell.
Which is dearly needed after Focus Blast breaks my sub.
And then another Return KOs Getsus' strongest Pokemon, and gets my Slow Golem to level 55. Bouffalante is out next, and after some deliberation, I go with Return. Which crits! Nice!
Seismitoad is in now, and I don't want to see Muddy Water or Sludge Wave here. Maybe I should just go for Substitute?
Except I don't, and Return leaves him in the red before Earthquake just does a quarter. Not too shabby. 1 more Return KOs. Bisharp's up now, and this is the Pokemon I've been most worried about. And that's worsened, as Thunder Punch doesn't even do half. Night Slash doesn't crit, but it does bring Slow-Mo to half. I debate what to do before I decide to use Return for a little bit of chip, but it actually sends him to the red. And then Stone Edge crits to send Slow-Mo to the red too!
This was such a waste, but Thunder Punch KOs,
and now it's just Electros. I need this to end now.
I hit Return, and he survives in the red! No!
He uses Wild Charge, but Slow-Mo survives on 6 HP.
I can't believe we're still in this.
1 more Return takes out Electros, ending the battle and the run. I actually did it. This run seemed impossible to me, and maybe it kinda was still without the EXP share, but somehow, we did it. N tells me to strive for my dream, but it's already a reality. Outside of the cap being a huge problem here, I came to really like the weird roulettes that were Regigigas' moveset. There isn't really a huge amount of strategy at a certain point other than just run out the clock and then hammer away, but the ways it came together were delightful. It definitely got harder towards the end, especially with the League and End, but having my big guy blossom into a beautiful destroyer of worlds by the end was a joyous experience. Also, I need to say something here. I've trashed Shell Bell a lot, but this run was one of the few times it was actually really useful. I wouldn't have survived the Wild Charge without the little bit of recovery it gave.
In a run without leftovers or very many berries,
it was a godsend for the League. The Scope Lens was also a fun one. Who needs full attack power when you can just crit your enemies away? All in all, this was just a very goofy and fun run to play through that made me appreciate held items even more.
I highly encourage anyone watching this to try this run.
It was some of the most fun I've ever had on this channel.
And that's a wrap.
After this video, I'm going to be starting a new series and releasing some new kinds of Nuzlocke content on my channel.
Though I'll still have a bunch of monotype runs coming.
I wanted a little more diversity in the types of content I do, so I felt like this was a great time to introduce that. I just wanted to be upfront and say that some of the next few videos are going to be different, but hopefully you like them. I've been using this channel to try to grow as a video maker and explore something I really love in a different way, so I'm really excited for this next phase. Thank you all for watching to the end. I really appreciate it. Catch you all next time.